Hello, welcome to another Black History Moment. Reading from Black Saga. Breaking in. Slaves in the West Indies. During the early years of the slave trade, most slaves who survived their voyage from Africa were sold in the West Indies. Here, they were trained to work and to obey masters. This process, which lasted 3 to 4 years, was called a breaking in period. Harsh and cruel punishments, including frequent floggings, were used against Africans who resisted. Slaves worked from sunup to sundown, cutting, crushing, and boiling sugarcane. Women and men were whipped if they did not work fast enough. Slaves who were very resistant might even be killed, since it was easier and cheaper to replace a slave than to persist in trying to train one. Slaves were fed an inadequate diet, usually poor quality fish and a little grain, often cornmeal. It has been estimated that almost 1/3 of the slaves died during the breaking in process after the slaves were broken. Many were resold to British, Spanish, and Portuguese colonies throughout the Americas. The breaking in process was dismantled as the huge demand for labor in the southern colonies required direct importation of slaves into these areas. Many slaveholders were so conditioned by the institution of slavery that they frequently and harshly flogged their slaves, and many of them justified this abusive behavior with Christian principles. A paddle was sometimes used, but whips with a lead ball sewed to the end were most often used in the field. Thus, a flogging and a whipping differed. A whipping was more severe and was usually employed to restrain or alter the behavior of particularly unruly slaves. Thank you for listening to this Black History Moment.